On the coattails of a massive false leak, two actual plausible leakers stepped forward with information on the new Crash game coming in 2020. Let's get into it.
Wow!
What's up guys, Canadian Guy here, and I got a video that I actually wanted to make this time. Yesterday's video was all about debunking a false leak that popped up, along with a friend of mine's art being used as evidence for this fake 4chan leak. There was a lot to it, so I highly suggest you check it out. But the leak overall was completely fake. But in the ashes of this leak burning to the ground, two separate known leakers have come forward with similar information on the next Crash game. So, who were the leakers, and how can we trust them? Well, the first one is Sabi, or Sabi. Sabi is known to have friends in high places when it comes to the video game industry. Usually they do Smash leaks, but they do dabble in other areas of games. Now, there have been many things that he or she has leaked or debunked, but I think the only thing you need to know about them is that before one of Nintendo's directs, Nintendo sent a cease and desist on them just in case they knew the info of said Nintendo Direct. They literally preemptively silenced them before they opened their mouth. To me, that's a pretty big credit. Now, the next leaker goes by the name of Viewer Anon. Now, this is a really different breed of leaker. Literally. They normally leak and talk about movies, like the plots to the new Star Wars and the Justice League a few months back. But suddenly, out of the blue, he came out and said that he had some info on the next Crash game. Now, many people were quite confused when he came forward and said this info. But what made people even more confused was how allegedly Sabi and Anon have not had any interaction with each other before this, and within a very short span of time of each other, both posted information on the upcoming Crash game. For the record, Sabi was the first one to post. So let's read both of the tweets, input public information that we know or have strong educated guesses on, and see where we go from there. First, Sabi's tweets. Heard from a good Acti connection that Activision does have a new Crash game coming. And no, not specifically that 4chan leak that included World, can't deconfirm World. Just know that it's not what I'm talking about. Vicarious seems to be it, but can't be 100% on that part. Now, yesterday's video basically completely debunks the Crash Bandicoot World League, so I think we can be safe to say that this tweet, along with the evidence found, completely kills that original rumor. A fan then asked for clarification on whether or not this is a new game or if it was a remake. Sabi followed up with the quote, "They said new, not a remake." Now, we are not done with Sabi yet. We gotta look at our newest leaker friend, Viewer Anon. Viewer Anon posted 3 tweets after Sabi's, but what do they say? Scooping a different industry, not only is a new Crash Bandicoot game coming, I've heard from someone I trust the whole thing revolves around masks with special abilities, and that there will be levels where you play as Cortex. Cortex levels, word is that they tell the full story of Crash levels. So if something blows up to block Crash's progress, the challenge level will be you as Cortex setting off that explosion. I trust the source I got the info from. Just had some things clarified for me. You can play as Crash or Coco. The gameplay is Naughty Dog-like, no open world, and the progression system was described as Super Mario Bros. 3/World, theme worlds with individual levels in each, and that's all I know. Sabi then responded with the following tweet. Seems like somebody heard something extremely similar. Don't know details on the mask stuff he mentions, just know that a new Crash game is coming that is not a remaster. Not entirely sure if it's just Vicarious or a combination of Vicarious and Toys for Bob. Then at the time of writing this script, Sabi released a follow-up tweet again that was towards Viewer Anon about the gameplay features of the game. Quote, "Alright, finally got clarification. The source told me that's more like what I heard in reply to this tweet. Can't guarantee everything he says is specifically true, but at the very least, some of it seems to be. Amazing coincidence that he tweeted just an hour after me." An amazing coincidence indeed. So, with all these tweets from reputable leakers, let's break down what we know thus far. The new Activision game in 2020 that's considered family-friendly will be Crash Bandicoot. This is not a remake, but a completely new adventure. You can play as Crash and Coco, but also Cortex for specific context missions that explains the backstory of Crash's obstacles. The game will have new masks that gives new power-ups to Crash and likely Coco. Vicarious Visions is leading the development on the project as well. The gameplay has been compared to not being open world, but not being completely linear either, with gameplay that's similar to Naughty Dog's. Now, let's inject what else we know or have done an educational guess on to reveal more details and overall flesh out what the next game could look like. So, though it is not a remake, which I'm very thankful for, there seems to be elements from other Crash games incorporated into this one. The multiple masks reminds me of ideas used in Wrath of Cortex, while being able to play as Cortex also touches a little bit on Twinsanity. It's not exactly the same though, but seeing ideas from post-Naughty Dog games does intrigue me while trying to hold to the classic mechanics of Naughty Dog. Now, it was already assumed that, yes, Vicarious Visions was leading the charge on this game, but due to the leak from Toys for Bob, we can assume that just like previous Crash games, Toys for Bob will be working as the support developers for this game. In terms of gameplay, it seems that they have decided on still holding on the linear style platforming that the original Naughty Dog games had, but allowing some wiggle room for a little bit of exploration. It seemingly has been compared to Mario 3D World, which is linear, but it does have some wiggle room in terms of adventuring. We likely will get portals once more with hub worlds in between. That's just me guessing though, no backing on that. For some who are not quite sure how Mario 3D World works, here's some footage from the trailer. Essentially, there are very linear points in parts, but it also opens up in other areas. It's not quite like Spyro where the levels are fairly sizable and allow for a fairly wide exploration, but it does allow you some space to run around and find secrets. This will kind of be unique for Crash because most, if not all the mainline Crash games kind of went the route of Spyro with the more open areas. This style of gameplay, however, kind of reigns Crash into a classic Naughty Dog style of gameplay, but giving a different and unique feel to a Crash Bandicoot game. So, something I mentioned in my previous video in a quick rant, but I'll try to go a little bit more clear here. Something that I have noticed is that Activision follows a very strict marketing plan. When they drop a trailer for a new game, from that point the game is marketed for 5 to 7 months from release. Now, I looked far back on the backlog of Activision's games and they all follow this pattern. Not teaser trailers though, reveal trailers. The only time this was broken though was with Spyro Reignited Trilogy, but that was just because the game was delayed 2 months, so that's an exception. Now, Activision has been releasing just about all things Crash in June. The Insane Trilogy, its ports, Future Tense, and even CTR were all dropped in the month of June. Now, rewind 6 months and you get December. December 2016 at the PlayStation Experience was when the first trailer dropped for the Insane Trilogy. Then, in December of 2018, we got the first trailer for CTR at the Game Awards. Now, the 2019 Game Awards are just around the corner, so if I was a gambling man, that is when I think the game will get the announcement, and I do believe it will come out in June of 2020. To back this up a little more, CTR had recently had a data mine that apparently has Grand Prix lasting until the end of May 2020. The plan might be that CTR will have Grand Prix leading up to the release of the new Crash game, and when the game goes into full swing, Grand Prix will stop. Will it be forever though? Well, that's a different video. But there is a concern that I have. The game is launching so close to the launch of new consoles. The PS5 and the Xbox Scarlet have been heavily rumored and suggested to be launching in either November or December of 2020, which is around 6 months from the theoretical launch of the new Crash Bandicoot game. Activision might adjust their marketing strategy and push for Crash as a launch title for the new generation of consoles with a downgraded upgraded version for the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One to release at the same time as their PS5 and Xbox Scarlet versions. New consoles can throw a monkey wrench in the gears, so that's my only concern. I'll be making a video talking more about this soon, so make sure to subscribe and stay tuned for it. A huge thank you to all those who support the channel through Patreon and being a sponsor on the channel. If you'd like to help it out, check out the links in the description below, where you can buy some CGE merch or become a Patreon. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe for more gaming and nostalgic content. Thank you so much everyone, and I'll see you guys in the next video.